The Tuesday before your parents died, did you have an argument with your mother?
Yes.
Where was the argument?
In the den of the Beverly Hills house.
Who was there?
Just my mom and myself.
Did at some point your brother show up?
A few minutes later, yeah.
Do you remember what the argument was about?
I believe it had to do with my hairpiece.
In the course of the argument, did she start yelling at you?
Yes, she was completely out of control, just flailing her arms, screaming at me about how I was going to be the cause of her father's death.
Had your brother been playing at a tennis tournament just before this?
Yes.
Were there some travel plans that were supposed to take place after the tournament?
Yes. The three of them were going to go visit my mom's dad in Canada.
Who's the three of them?
Eric and mom and dad.
Why were they going to go visit your mom's dad?
My mom said that he was very ill and possibly dying, and that this might be the last time she had a chance to see him.
Did they end up going to Canada to see her father?
No. My brother lost earlier in the tournament than my dad had expected. He was furious.
Who was furious?
My father, and decided he wasn't going to Canada, and to hell with my mom's dad. So he made arrangements to fly back.
Why didn't your mother just go on to Canada with Eric?
That was because he might have a girl like Louise waiting for him in L.A. while she was with her dad. She didn't trust him. She wouldn't leave without him. So they all came back early.
Did your mom continue to be upset about the fact that she didn't get to go see her dad?
She was more than upset. She was really as bad as I'd seen her as far as anger. Really blamed myself in a way that it was our tennis that was going to cause her father's death.
But you hadn't been the one that lost. It was Eric.
Right. But when my mom goes off, she talks about your whole life. She brings everything into it. You're born and ruined her dreams. Your tennis ruined her life, and you're ungrateful, spoiled, and just she works herself into this frenzy where she's just completely out of control. We'll grab things and throw them. And this conversation, she was out of control right away. And she had been that way since she had gotten back. Very down, angry, cold, and then just these explosions. And at this point, I was trying to have a conversation with her because she was in the den and seemed a little more relaxed, but she just exploded about something about my hairpiece.
How long did this rage go on?
A minute and a half, 2 minutes.
What did she do?
At some point, she was moving toward me, and I kind of put my arms up because she flails with her fists sort of wildly, and she reached and she grabbed my hairpiece, and she just ripped it off.
How was your hairpiece attached?
It's attached through like a solvent glue.
Under the skin?
Under the skin.
And what happened when she ripped it off? How did it feel?
Well, it was pain because you're supposed to use this blue chemical to detach it. You can't rip it off. I looked in the mirror, my head was welling up, and my eyes had tears in them from the pain more than the embarrassment.
What was embarrassing about this?
You know, being there in the house without it and her having ripped it off was just unbelievably embarrassing. And my brother was there also.
When did your brother come in?
I'm not sure when he came in or if he was already in the house, but he was standing by the doorway when I started going toward her to get the hairpiece back, and she threw it back to me.
What did you think when she had the hairpiece?
Well, she was going upstairs, and for some reason she stopped, turned around, and threw it at me. Said, "You don't need your hairpiece." But, she threw it at me, so I got it back. I only have one.
Did it worry you that she was going to take it away?
Yes, it worried me she was going to take it away.
Why?
That's just something my mother would do. Just keep it until my dad got home, which wasn't going to be for a few days. So I was going to go upstairs and try to get it from her if I could.
What happened when you noticed your brother was there?
Nothing. I just looked at him, just really in shock over the whole thing. More my mother's, just that she would do that. It had never happened before, and she had had rages before close to me, hitting me. So I left. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to talk to my brother, so I left.
Why didn't you want to talk to your brother?
He didn't know I had a hairpiece. My brother and I, there are things we don't talk about, and that was one of them.
Were you embarrassed in front of your brother?
I was completely embarrassed in front of my brother.
So what did you do?
I went back to the guest house where I live to put it on.
Did your brother follow?
I was in the bathroom putting it on with the temporary glue that they give us. And he came in and said he wanted to talk to me. And I told him I'd be out in a few minutes, and I eventually came out.
How were you emotionally? How did you feel?
Basically trembling kind of thing from just the overall embarrassment of the whole thing and the shock of my mother's reaction. So I really didn't want to talk to my brother.
Were you angry at her?
I was angry, but that was sort of washed over by the whole shock of the whole thing.